Hi everyone, welcome to She Means Business. This is Deepika Singh, and this is actually a conversation today. A conversation about a subject that is really beginning to interest me: podcast. During the entire lockdown period, I discovered some really good podcasts. I actually discovered podcasts. In spite of knowing about podcasts, I wasn't really so much of a listener before the lockdown, but I think lockdown I was hunting for new forms of content, and I just stumbled upon podcasts and really interesting podcasts. So today we're going to talk about podcasts from both a listener perspective as well as creator perspective. If you're wanting to start podcast, what are the few things that you should look at? I am not the expert, so I'm not going to be talking about how you can do this, but I have an expert on board. This is Sonia Khurana. She's my guest today. She's a co-founder of Win Studio, which is a studio that is all about audio content. And we're going to talk to her today about podcasts. Hi, Sonia.
Hi.
Welcome to She Means Business.
I am glad to be here and in conversation with you, Deepika. I think one thing that I have to say is I admire and love the content that you're pushing out and creating, especially the ones that I follow on LinkedIn. I guess that's where we connected.
Yes.
I so admire that and your consistency.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's taken me some time. I love creating content, but like everything else, I think it just requires consistency, like you said, and just the ability to I think with every piece of content, you have to be ready to sort of put yourself out there, because there'll be people who like it, there'll be people who won't like it. So that's what. But yeah, lovely connecting with you and getting to know more about what you do. We'll start by just understanding a little bit more about Win Studio and then podcast, because you guys, you're betting on audio content, right? You've got a startup around it. So it'd be interesting to understand why audio content and what really is Win Studio.
Yeah, so it's actually Wine Studio.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's completely all right. I think a lot of people do confuse it, and we actually somewhere knew that can happen, but then we also created this subtitle called Pouring Narratives. So the idea was so that people understand that it's wine, not to be confused with wine. And we are WYN, so that stands for actually what's your narrative.
Okay.
And what does what's your narrative really stand for? If you actually translate it, or if you actually look at it in Hindi, it's kahani kya hai. So that's what actually came to what's your narrative. And then we were like, okay, you know what? We are about narratives. We are about stories. We are about really getting out to people some very interesting, compelling, and engaging stories. And honestly, I met my co-founder Bijay in a workshop that he was conducting, and that's where we started chatting, because I was already considering starting up in a space which is about content, but something very interesting, because the kind of content, I mean, there's already enough and more content, but we were just trying to figure out I was actually trying to figure out what I could do, which is something which is disruptive. And then when I did this podcasting workshop, I felt that there aren't enough people producing content just by the medium of podcasting, or what was in the 1980s called as audio blogging. And with iPods coming in by Apple around 2004, that's when the podcasting as a term actually came to be. It was used for the first time in some newspaper, which I am forgetting the name, but irrespective of the name and everything, the fact is that the medium has picked up pace like how, and stories come to us so naturally. The fact that our ancestors tell us stories as kids, we're always told nighttime stories, bedtime stories. Stories are a thing that just come to humans very naturally, and we don't realize it, but we all are a box full of stories. Yeah, and that's where we came to be, that why not explore this medium? Why not help creators, brands, businesses actually explore podcasting as a medium to really put themselves out there. Videos already exist, text, blogs, everything already exists. Podcasts also exist, but can we do something better? Is there something that we can still continue to do and solve something for people and brands? So yet make it interesting, compelling, and engaging. And that's how we came to be.
Okay. It's still a very young, in spite of podcasts having been there for quite some time now, it's still very young. And I think it's only now that in the last, I would say a couple of years, a year, there's been a lot of buzz around podcasts. So there were early adopters, of course. But now I see a lot more people listening to podcasts also, and also trying to create podcasts. Why do you think now this? Because there's so much content already. It's not like you're short of content.
Yes.
There's a lot of content, whether good content, bad content, debatable. But there's a lot of good content as well.
Yeah.
So why do you think podcasts now have been seeing so much more growth in the recent past?
So in the recent past, what has also happened is, I'll just say it in, if I was to summarize it in just three or four words, everyone wants to do more in less. And what does that mean? That applies to anything. You want more with less money, you want more with whatever resource you have, whatever finite resource that you have, you want to do more with that. You want more productivity, you want more output from that. And what does it mean when it comes to podcasting? So as a matter of fact, the amount of time that each one of us has is finite. It's the same 24 hours. The most democratically distributed currency that we have is time. So how does podcast really play out there? When you are actually looking into a video or any content that needs you to lean in and use most of your senses, you are dividing your attention, you're putting your attention only on that, and you cannot divide your attention on anything else. Yet the inner urge is that you want to do more. And what does audio as a medium help you with? How does audio as a medium help you there? So while you're cooking, you can listen to your favorite podcast. While you're driving, you can listen to your favorite podcast. While you're commuting on the metro, you can listen to your favorite podcast. While you're jogging or gymming or in the salon, you can listen to your favorite podcast. And thus, what does that mean? You're doing more in less. You're doing more activities, more things in less time, in the same time. And that's how the utility and the, this aspect of utilizing more and creating more, if making time more effective, basically plays out subconsciously. And radio has always been there. I remember even as a kid, and I think everybody has had that relationship with radio. People know that, while you've been commuting, you've been listening to your radio, we all have our favorite radio jocks. So essentially, podcast is to radio what Netflix is to TV. It's audio on demand. So you can hear it, or your listeners can hear you when they want to, at their own convenience. So they may hear it when they're traveling, they may hear it just before sleeping, or whenever they have time. They don't have to structure their time as per your availability. So that is the other convenience. And what happened, the other third essential point, if you look at interestingly, during the lockdown, what really happened is that everybody was initially very excited to get onto Zoom calls, connecting, you're leveraging technology, so to say, to meet people all the more often. I remember everybody was having those Zoom parties, meeting your friends after a long time over Zoom calls, everybody, school reunions and reunions happening on Zoom. All of that happened. But then there was this sudden valley, there was a peak and there was a valley. There was so much fatigue.
Absolutely.
How much can you lean into the screen? How much can you watch the screen? At the end of the day, your eyes are dry. And then you rush to the chemist to buy those eye drops because your eyes are dry. So how does audio as a medium there help again? Now it allows you to lean back, be doing something else, or be at your comfort and still consume content that is meaningful for you, that adds some value to you. Interestingly, there is a report by Acast, which is one of the leading platforms in the podcasting space, that during this whole lockdown across the globe, there was a rise in consumption of comedy podcasts by around 24%. There was a rise in consumption of educational based content by about 20%. So it shows, the research, the insights that every platform is coming up with showcases that it is just rising and it will only continue to rise. And I will conclude this question by also another fact that by another Deloitte report and even other reports by PwC, by 2020 the podcasting industry globally, when it comes to monetization revenues, will be a $2 billion industry by 2020, and by 2025 will be a $3.3 billion industry globally. So these are astounding facts, yet we are yet to realize how these will turn out for us, because India is still a very nascent market when it comes to podcasting. Yes.
But you're right, even I discovered it during the lockdown. So even now it becomes so much more easier. I just download an episode and every time I have to go for a walk or a jog or whatever, I have that thing. You're right about the whole multitasking bit.
Yeah.
Very true. But tell me something, just for my knowledge as well. How do I find good podcasts? So, what happens is that I depend on, I do a little bit of research. I depend on marketing. So I stumble upon someone who's, posted something about a podcast and I'll say, let me try it out. Yeah. But unlike Google, unlike text and video on YouTube, which is far more easier to search, podcast still seems like you have to figure your way about. So if you know about the podcaster, maybe if you've heard about, you've seen some marketing. So how do I search for good podcasts? And then later we'll also come to how, as a creator, then you can market your podcast. But as a listener, how do I search for good podcasts?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, because I think one of the things that I come to hear from a lot of listeners, to-be listeners, non-listeners who get to know about podcasts, they're like, how do I really figure out, which is a good podcast in the genre that I am interested in the domain that I am interested in. And, while that is still a problem that exists, there are platforms who are trying to work the thing around. However, now that, interestingly, like 2 years back when Google came into podcasting, so what really happened was that Google started indexing audio files. For example, when you just Google a certain video or a certain content that you're looking for, Google shows, suddenly shows all the pages and everything that is there, because it is indexing them. So you're able to discover it. Now, similarly, Google has started to index podcasts also. So if you Google a particular domain, it showcases you. A lot of people are also blogging, so you start finding. But I'll tell you what is also happening is that a lot of platforms, for example, IMDb, which actually reviews, where people review movies. IMDb has also started last year putting in podcasts. Platform like IMDb doing that means there is a lot that is going to happen in this space. The discoverability will only continue to increase, because every platform is now starting to figure out ways to increase discoverability when it comes to podcast. And when you actually go to Apple Podcast and you type cancer podcast or whatever genre that you want to look at, it again showcases you the various podcasts that exist in that domain, the episodes that are there in that genre, domain, topic, theme, whatever you choose. And even Spotify, for that matter, whatever you search for, yes, it starts to show up, but discoverability will become easy sooner or later. In fact, sooner, because platforms are working on ways to make the discoverability better. There are a lot of platforms who are looking at leveraging artificial intelligence to actually look at, what is it that actually interests you? What are the things that you generally look for? Are you more inclined to look for, because everybody's now where do we hear podcasts most often? That's mostly on our smartphones. So what is it that you're mostly utilizing? What are the apps that you're mostly utilizing? There's a lot of apps speaking to other apps. There's a lot of AI that will start getting seamlessly being used for podcasts to start featuring on your, with the current Apple update. In fact, discoverability on Apple Podcasts has become easier if you are using an Apple iPhone. Similarly, for other platforms, they are making their backend and dashboards and other things better for you as a listener to actually get the best experience when it comes to podcast. And the other thing that you can do is there are a lot of podcasters across various platforms. If you will ask for reviews, if you'll ask for podcasts in various genres, you of course get it. Like, you know, like you said, Deepika, that you look for what people are saying on a particular subject around a certain podcast or a certain subject if there are any podcasts that exist. So that is one way. But platform perspective, it is getting better by the day. Discoverability is getting better by the day. There's another app called Good Pods, which is actually a community for podcast listeners and podcast creators. So it's like a social media for podcast lovers and creators. That is another app where you can just download and figure out what are the podcasts which exist across various genres, various themes, various topics. And yes, that's a couple of ways.
Okay. Yeah, I depend a lot upon. So I read a lot. So then I begin to find out who's creating a podcast, and from that genre, then you're right. I get a lot of suggestions sometimes that, you know, in this genre you can listen. I'm going to come to podcast versus video because, you know, I'm a video creator. I've been creating video for some time. Personally, I feel that ideally audio content should slightly be easier because video, you need the tech, like at least if nothing else, you need a good camera. You can also do it with, a lot of people say basic camera is also fine, but somewhere with so much content, you do have to start figuring out good tech, right? There's camera, then this whole thing of trying to remember what you have to say to an inanimate object in front of you and still look nice and pleasant and like you're talking to people. It's tough to create video. But with podcasts, I feel, you know, you need a mic and you need some sort of idea about what you're going to be talking about. So is that all you need to start a podcast? How easy or how tough is it to start a podcast? Because it seems like something slightly easier. So we'll start with the how easy is it to create, and then we'll go on to the method and the how people can find you, etc. But how easy is? What are the few things that you need to keep in mind if you want to start creating, you know, audio content?
Yes, so that's something that we get asked often by beginners also. That, you know, where do we start? And we say that, you know, if you have to start, the only thing honestly that you need to begin and to actually validate your content is just your mobile phone. Every mobile phone has the voice recording, the memo recording, voice memo recording app, audio recording app. All you need to start doing is just start recording. Okay. Every day, you know, like you said, Deepika, that consistency for content creators is what is of utmost importance. Similarly, for a podcaster, if you know, if you're somebody who's wanting to talk on a certain theme, you cannot be like, आज मैंने produce किया, आज मैंने content create किया, अब मैं I will do it at my women fancy whenever I have to, whenever I have time. So there's a certain discipline and commitment and consistency that you need, but technologically, to begin with, a mobile phone is more than enough.
Okay.
Once you feel that you are good at creating that and maintaining that consistency, opt to invest into something like as small as a lapel mic, which are not very costly, which is from 1,200 rupees to 5,000 rupees. I think that's, you can find a fairly fine quality microphone. You can upgrade when you see that, okay, now you're consistent. Now you're seeing that your audience is leaning in, you're getting feedback, you're really wanting to now step up, then start investing in technology. But to begin with, a mobile phone is more than enough. Once you record, what is the next thing that you need? you just need a free tool like Audacity or Parrot. There's so many tools, free tools that exist on various platforms across various softwares, on various operating systems. iOS, of course, MacBook, if you have, you will have different set of tools that are available. If you're a Windows person, there'll be a different set of tools available, but there are more than enough free tools that are available to make the basic editing. What does that basic editing mean? That means cleaning up your audio. Agar extra noise hai, there's a lot of whirring, or there's a lot of reverb from the room, which is making your voice echo. So that cleanup, that basic cleanup, is easy to understand if you will try to explore the tools the way you first logged into Facebook and you explored Facebook. Just explore the tools and you will understand कि cleanup कैसे करना है, थोड़ा सा music कैसे add करना है, क्या क्या चीजें करनी है, what do you need to do. You will start understanding. But the idea is that you cannot, again, I will just reiterate this, that consistency is of utmost importance. You make it today, ensure you put in that effort to record and put out an episode every week or every month or every fortnight, but create that frequency, create that, that feeling for your listener that you're here to stay. And I'm sure each one of us, if somebody says that, I don't know, I don't think I have a story, I'm like, you're bullshitting yourself. Pardon my language, but I just say that you're just lazy.
Yeah.
To find that story, you're just lazy. That's it. And yeah.
No, I was just going to say that, we all have, intrinsically, we all have stories, we all have content. I think some of us are just, we find it easier to tell the story and to, sort of figure out, and that whole fear factor of not stepping back from telling our story. And but we all have the content within us and we all have the stories within us. It's just that some of us are not able to, I think, create it in a slightly more structured manner and tell their story.
Yeah. And yes, you rightly said that, we're not structured storytellers. We've never been taught that art of storytelling, right?
Yes.
Schools never, we were taught English, we were taught literature, but we were never taught storytelling as an art form. So yes, fault of the educational system or whatever, but we can always upskill ourselves. I think the lockdown has given us that beautiful opportunity to really build upon our skills. And whether you're a salesperson, whether you are in whatever role, even if you are not an entrepreneur or a business person or a brand or a marketer, you still have some value to create. Believe that there's at least one person who's willing to know something from you. If even for that one person, if you can add value, continue to do that. And I'm sure over a period of time that from that one, it will increase to 100. If you're consistent, if you're continuing to do this, from that one, it will rise up to 100. But it is only a factor of how consistent you are. And when you are consistent, the beauty of consistency is that while you may be really horrible in the beginning when it comes to your quality, the way you deliver, or the way you articulate, you may not be great at it. But the beauty of consistency is, somebody just shared this very recently. I was interviewing somebody, fellow podcasters in the community, and they said, it's like, they quoted Ed Sheeran, that how, when you turn on a tap after a very long time, what really happens? The first thing that really comes into the bucket is, or flows down from the tap, is a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
A lot of gravel, a lot of dirt. And soon after, the water is clear. So that is how it is like when you start telling stories, that is how it is. When you're a beginner, the first few, okay, I think my internet is slightly unstable. I hope my voice isn't lagging.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So yes, the first few things that will happen is, first few episodes, you'll hear yourself and you'll be like, nahi, maza nahi aa raha. I don't think I am coming out great. It's okay. Publish. Just publish, and publishing is not difficult. Just publish. What will happen? And be open to feedback. Some people will come back saying, you weren't clear, we couldn't really hear you clearly, or it was too long a story. Ask for feedback openly. Really ask for feedback. It's like A and B testing jaisa hota hai. Send it across. Some people will like it, some people will not like it. Those who will not like it, ask them for their feedback. What is it that you do not like? What is it that I can create more of? What is it that I can add? How can I actually create value? If you think that this is the content that I'm doing, just do first few episodes, just do testing, and you will see when you will come to your 20th or the 30th episode, you will see a drastic difference. You will see a drastic difference not only in the way you tell your story, but also in your confidence levels, and the way you converse with people will be so different, because somewhere that you've been working on the craft and you've improved. We all do. Practice does make the man perfect.
Yeah, true. Tell me
something. And I'll just
No, tell me.
Yeah, so I was just about to answer that. As compared to video, yes, audio production is slightly easier to begin with. But once you start stepping up, once you start upping the game, you start adding a lot of other elements. And that's when it starts getting somewhere closer to what a video production also is like. Just that it is minus the camera. But audio production when the production levels increase, it is no different from a video production.
Right. So, for anybody who's wanting to start a podcast, there has to be some method, or there has to be a concept. I think what I'm trying to say is concept. So I think that would help in consistency also. If you have a concept in mind, okay, I'm going to do interviews of so-and-so people, or I'm going to talk about this particular subject. It's very easy to just start talking, but there has to be for people to also listen to you, and people to also for you to start developing some kind of a loyal audience who comes back to you. Does there necessarily need to be a concept? Does it need to be watertight? So when you start, how does that happen?
Okay. So before you come to the concept, the two key questions that anybody who's wanting to start out needs to answer is, one, why do I want to do this? Okay. Because if your why is not defined, then you are less likely to persist and be consistent. You're not doing it with a certain meaning behind it, but you're doing it just because you want to follow the trend, and that is not good enough a reason to start. So there has to be a strong enough why, and that why actually lies in your story, in your experiences. And the best way to find your stories is to really go back into your childhood, to your growing up periods, and find something that you've felt as a pain and have overcome, or are still trying to overcome. Those are good starting points. It could be even for a business person, what is the pain point that you have actually felt or been through that you want to really share your journey on. So those whys are very important. And the second most important question is who. So who is my listener? What does my listener really do? What time is my listener likely to listen to my podcast? What are the brands or people that my listener ideally must be following? So basically defining your listener avatar. And how now that helps you is that when you come to the concept, one, you know what it is around. You know the key theme or the key thread. And second thing that you know is that when you know your listener at a granular level, as much work that you do or put into understanding who your listener is, your concept will come out more clearly. You will know that, okay, my listener ideally is somebody between the age of 18 to 25, is likely to listen to a podcast mostly during the afternoon or the evening. follows a lot of hype brands. So, possibly they like more pepped up kind of content. They like content which is flashy, which is jazzy, which is very high on storytelling and, well produced. They do not like just conversations. So once you start really understanding who your listener is, that's when you start understanding their psyche. And at the end of the day, you are producing content, and for your content there is a consumer. And if the content is not created for the consumer is not going to stick on to the content. Just like it is with any brand who's creating a product for their buyers, it's the same way for your content. If they're not paying money but they're paying time, they're investing with time. They may not be paying money to listen to your podcast, but they are investing time, right? So why would they do that? So just these are the two key things, the why and the who, before you come to what the concept is.
Got it. What is the X factor of a podcaster? So now, in fact, I see a lot of podcasts also. And in fact, one day I was very interested. I was going through all these podcasts on Spotify, and I kept listening to like one episode, half an episode, 30 seconds, 1 minute, even that short, just because I was very interested to see how many people are just getting onto the bandwagon. But if you see, written content has always had its stars. People who write well, you feel so connected to the written word. Video also has some bit of the way the whole concept is put together, production, etc. For a podcaster, what is the X factor? How can you create stickiness with the audience, and what really counts for you to be a really good podcaster?
Yeah, I think authenticity is the key. As a podcaster, if you're putting out content which you do not resonate with, your audience, however good you may be at presenting or delivering the content, if you're not authentic, if you do not feel it, sooner or later, your listener will know that, this is somewhere not connecting with me. Whether or not they follow you on social platforms and figure out कि नहीं कुछ तो dissonance है, कहीं ना कहीं तो disconnect है, they will still figure out that it is not connecting with me. Even if the theme, even if you've defined the who very well, even if your concept is kick-ass, if your everything is right, every ingredient is right, but if authenticity is missing, then it'll fall flat. The listeners would not continue. It is the authenticity. A lot of I've listened to some very crass podcasts, but they're crass because of the kind of concept and things that they put in. Or there might be podcasts who are really some of the podcasts which are not very great on production value, but I still listen to them because I find them so authentic. There's this podcaster, there's a very good podcaster, Paritosh Anand, who does this 2 peas in a pod, young guy. And, it's a lot of random banter and a lot of, like a youngster, a 19, 20-year-old youngster would talk, that kind of language and all of those things. But those elements at his age, that's him. You do you. So as a podcaster, if you're wanting to start out on the path of creating content and become a podcaster, number one factor that makes you stand out is how authentic you are. It could be across any genre, it could be across any domain, theme, topic. You need to be authentic to stand out. And for your listeners, whether they are 1, 2, 3, 100, 10,000, whatever amount of listeners you have, they continue to stick and spread the word if they find you authentic. That's the key factor. That's the X factor. That's what my perspective is. Yeah.
So you do it because you have a story to tell, and not because you've seen other people do it and you want to follow someone who's possibly very popular, etc. So just your story, your style, your way.
Yeah.
I just want to come to the metrics. It's all very hidden. with podcasts. It's all very secretive. So, for example, I don't know what the number, if I go in as a listener, I don't. So a lot of people evaluate, how good a particular video on YouTube would be based on the number of, to some extent it matters, if millions of people have seen a video. So you think somewhere there is something in that video, right? With podcasts, I honestly, there's no data which is available to a listener. That's challenging.
Yes. Yeah. Primarily because, Deepika, what happened is that the intent to start a podcast, I think, was never monetization.
Yeah. With YouTube, it's, yeah, I get it. It's everything about, viewers and listen,
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reason, the metrics or the data is not visible
Right.
to the listener. And even to the podcasters, dashboards, the analytics that we get from the various platforms and the media host where we host our podcast and shows on, there's still, we want more data. Because now that everybody's wanting to monetize podcasts, we know for us to sell the content to a brand, at the end of the day, they want metrics.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whether vanity, whether not, but they want metrics.
Because currently, I think that's the only way to measure how popular a piece of content is, how many people are actually watching it. It is the most widely used, measure.
Absolutely. And, even for us, we are waiting. And no, like I said in the beginning, that as much as discoverability is work in progress, it is getting better by the day, because now that podcasting as a medium has, really is starting to evolve and is starting to getting adopted better. So now all these platforms, all the hosts, everybody is now realizing they need to work better on the data for the creators, for the listeners, and for the brands and businesses too. So now they're starting again, it's work in progress for us also, the kind of data that we get from our media hosts, where we, because from the media host is where it basically gets distributed to all the other platforms. So that's one single point. And even on individual platforms like Spotify, like Apple, like Google Podcast, we still do not have enough data. And we would want more. We have data, but we would want more. And the data that we have today has definitely gotten better from what it was a couple of years back to decades back, to a decade back rather. And it is only going to get better. Right now, yes, it is what it is.
Also, I think somewhere it helps to, also work on improving your content, understanding what your audience is actually listening, how much time. So, for example, on YouTube, I get a lot of data on, the analytics, even OTT. I was speaking to someone from the OTT, platform yesterday. The kind of AI that they have to understand, why this particular person did not go beyond a certain episode, what they can do to bring this person back on the platform to that particular show or some other show. It really helps to also work on the content as well, and just stickiness of every platform also. So at some point, I think even podcasters and podcast platforms would want that, make people stay. Are brands jumping on to the whole podcast?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Interestingly, yes. While US and UK and even China, despite being closed, are much higher in numbers when it comes to the podcast consumption and the way brands look at podcasts because of those numbers. Talking specifically in India, brands are now starting to look at podcast as a medium to not only add to the brand awareness, but also for some brands, I see, a lot of brands now more than ever have this need to establish themselves as a thought leader. And a podcast is a great way to build that. Because the whole thing when it comes to video versus audio in this whole conversation, a video has more virality. It's not niche.
Yes.
The kind of niche that an audio medium creates is very different. And thought leadership is niche. It is not very massy. It has a certain, if I was to put thought leadership into the category of masses versus classes, it's more classes than masses. And that's where audio as a medium kind of creates that perception where you are able to establish yourself as a thought leader if you market yourself well enough, if the podcast is consumed well enough. And for brands, I think they have the kind of budgets which they ensure, and the kind of audience also, existing audience also, where the consumption of the podcast happens much sooner than something which is a non-brand, which is not an established brand yet. And to add to this point, I think brands are also starting to see the value in a smaller audience subset because the conversions are higher. In a video, while the vanity metrics point out higher numbers, but the conversion rates aren't comparatively on the higher side. It's just for the numbers that you will see, yes, because it is a factor of if there are 1,000 people who are listening to a podcast, and it's about let's say 10 people or 20 odd people who actually convert and maybe just choose something. In a video, viewership will be higher. It may be 10,000, but the conversion ratio, if you will see, will be lower between a podcast and a video. So that's what we have seen. Yet we are trying to look at more data from the platforms, from the streaming platforms and the media hosts, so that brands can actually see that evidence.
Podcasts are individual. So someone is speaking about something. Interviews, where you have 2 people or 3 people talking about a certain subject. You guys have gone a step further with a full-fledged production, your latest, Tell me a little bit about that. So when you spoke about disruption, in this market where podcast is still sort of, taking off, you're doing a fairly disruptive, large, show. So that's interesting. Tell me more about that and what is the thought behind that?
Yeah, so our latest show, Heirs of the Pandavas, is by this podcaster and a creator who's an Indian based in Australia, Nikesh Murli. He's done podcasts earlier. The Indian Noir podcast is a highly consumed podcast. Has basically broken ceiling when it comes to the crime, thriller, the dark noir genre. And we were in discussion with him, and he'd been working on something in the mythology fiction space. And that's where we decided to partner and collaborate and come out with this podcast called Heirs of the Pandavas. So it's a mythology yet contemporary take on mythology. More, if you were to draw comparisons in the kind of authors or people who are creators who are already in this genre, would be authors like Devdutt Pattanaik, would be authors like Amish Tripathi. And if you were to look at drawing parallels in something which is more West, then Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. So that is the kind of content that this is. And we felt that, this content needs to be, we need to do justice to this. So it has to be really, podcast is actually called as theater of the mind, because you're listening to something and you can visualize it.
Yeah.
Right? In your mind, you're just visualizing. Like when you read a book, I remember when I read Harry Potter the first time, I was literally visualizing it, and when the movie came, I was so disappointed.
It never matches what you thought, It's so disappointing every time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And interestingly, the Harry Potter podcast also came, with various stars reading out the excerpts of the book. Coming back to Heirs of the Pandavas, So we felt that, we really need to do justice to this content, and it has to be a larger than life production. We have to, as a team, really enjoy this whole thing, and it has to top the charts in the first week and 10 days. You're all enthusiastic, and so yeah, it came to be in a way that it's very, if you hear it, you're like, oh, this is like in cinema, Indian cinema, if you were to draw parallels, it's very Sanjay Leela Bansali production. There's so much sound effects, so much. It's while it is just one person narrating, it's not multiple voices. It's not an audio drama. It's a narration, and yet with the sound effects, with the way we have really made it an experience for the listener, that is what excites us. The way we are disrupting is not just by the means of continuing to churn podcasts in numbers, while that is a great strategy to add up to the valuation when it comes to content, but we also want to ensure we create a listener experience where the listener is really immersed, not just by the narration or by the conversation, but by the whole experience of it. And you can just close your eyes and listen and just imagine it popping into your head. And it gives us goosebumps every time we listen to it. The first few episodes, we were so stoked, super stoked, that we were just like, this is something that we've done, and this is work that we need to pat our backs for. And that's the power of storytelling. And when you add more experience and more layers to it, I think that really becomes enriching. And that also makes me connect to the previous question that brands are also wanting to leverage the power of stories. So yeah,
interesting. So where do you see podcast going now? From both as a studio and also, individual content creators now. What do you see in the next couple of years? What's going to happen to this industry?
So it'll only continue to grow, of course. It's only India is still nascent. We are yet to see the kind of explosion that we have seen when it comes to video as a content, the kind of virality that you see on so many other platforms. We are yet to see that kind of explosion, but the adaptation of, with the growing, penetration of smartphones and internet, even in tier 2, tier 3 cities, because right now, honestly, podcast is a very, or at least a couple of years back, it was a very English spoken word and an urban phenomenon. It still is an urban phenomenon, but it is continuing to get diverse when it comes to the languages. It is yet to still become more multilingual. But what is now happening is that there's a smartphone in the hands of everyone in tier 2, tier 3 town. Everybody has a smartphone because, of course, the rates are not as the way it was. The smartphone, they become very easily available and accessible to almost everybody. So by means of that, and everybody wants to consume content and get entertained. So the only thing that I see in the near future, honestly, Deepika, is that there will be more platforms. There is already a platform called Agre Technologies, which has a platform called Avaz.com. They are focused especially on tier 2, tier 3. The content that they have is multilingual. The brands that they connect with are the brands that are looking at penetrating tier 2, tier 3. And that's what brands want now. Because there's already a stagnation, or there's already enough demand, or enough from the cosmopolitan and tier 1, but the tier 2, tier 3, the smaller towns, is where everybody now wants to move. And there's so much. TikTok has shown us that the kind of creation that lies in these cities is unlike anything else. And that's what I think podcasts would also grow into. We'll see a lot of regional vernacular content coming up.
One thing that just struck me, there are individual creators that go to any free tool, put up their And then there are platforms, and then there are also production houses like yours, or I know a couple of other that sort of aggregate podcasts and they give, marketing and production, help. So how do you see that growing? Will the production houses sort of, so a lot more people getting into the production of our podcast, brands maybe wanting to start. I know a lot of radio channels have already gotten into it because it's audio content, right? So they've started their own apps and their own production. They bring on board creators. How do you see that going? So YouTube was mostly individual, creators. Till like a TVF also came in, but OTT is production, and So what happens in the podcasting space?
In the podcasting space, if you actually, if you break down the, how do I say this? So if you break down the, creation of the content to the ownership to the distribution, right now everybody is in a way in a silos. There's a creator is a different person, who also owns the IP. The producer is a different person, or the creator or producer could be the same person. The distributor is a different person, right? Now, in case of an alt Balaji, for example, they also are creators. They're also the distributors, and by means of that, and they're also the producers. So they actually own the whole what in manufacturing, what in manufacturing would call you will call the supply chain. They own it, right? So in podcasting, we are all still, broken chains. So it is very unorganized for that matter. It is very unstructured for that matter, but it is now people, now creators, because most of the podcasters across the globe are indie podcasters, what you also call as the individual podcasters, okay, or the independent podcasters. Now, what happens is, because these are independent podcasters, and rarely anybody takes up podcasting full time from the word go. So what happens is that while a radio station like Red FM, like Mirchi is also looking at podcasting, so many other platforms are looking at podcasting, who are already existing players in the market, have the kind of budget to actually ensure that they also now make their content available on demand. That is what they're wanting to do. So they own the content too. Now that's going the alt Balaji way. Okay. But what happens with these indie podcasters? Now, indie podcasters now need to actually start looking at what Spotify with Commune is beautifully doing, is that they're connecting with these indie podcasters.
Okay.
Giving them a platform, if their content is good, giving them a platform on Spotify for their content to be visible and distributed. And then as a means of that, this set of indie podcasters does not have to do everything by themselves. And everything that they have to do includes content creation, includes editing, includes packaging the whole content, distributing it, then marketing it, and then, continuing that cycle. And that's overwhelming, and that's what stops a lot of people midway. So when these platforms start really working together with these indie podcasters and a lot of content creators who exist in our country, that's when we are starting to create a structured place, a structured platform, and we're giving voice to these various creators. And we are easing off the tasks for them. So that is what I see will continue to happen. While Spotify has partnered with Commune and doing this to promote spoken word artists, so many other platforms will start doing that with various other artists and various other storytellers and creators. And that's when you will see more content coming in, more diversity and inclusive content coming in. And that's what I'm very excited to see, honestly. That's what I'm very, very excited to see.
Interesting. One is already seeing a lot of like Spotify originals, where they've already started approaching a lot of creators, etc. A lot more platforms. Red. I think all the radio channels have already gotten into. That will be interesting. Last question, most interesting question, since you're also now in this business, monetization. So where does, so obviously everything at some point has to start generating revenue. whether it's an individual creator, you're spending your time, even if you're doing it for marketing your own business or your product, you would want this to also become some kind of side revenue. But for people who are in the business of podcasting, like you, monetize.
Yeah. So, the various ways of monetizing, honestly, on content is, first things first, identify what the problem is. Now, for a brand, the problem can be, I do not have time to, I don't think that I have time to really find the right voice. I know this is my,
Yeah.
this is the whole concept. This is the theme. This is the overall, overarching theme. This is what my brand stands for. But I do not have time, apart from the fact that a marketing and content team can give you the strategy around the content that we want. But a lot of marketers and content creators do not really understand when it comes to podcasting, you cannot use scripted content just as it is. Blog is very different, video is very different. But in a podcast, you are speaking to the audience, and the spoken script is very different.
Oh, you mean you shouldn't be looking at a scripted, like you
Yes.
can't have like a script in front of you because it won't
Yeah.
be natural in any case.
Absolutely. Because when somebody is seeing you, they're also seeing your expressions. So that's very different.
Yeah.
Even if it's scripted, it's very different. The consumption and the psyche of the consumer is very different when they're watching you. But when they're hearing you, it's very different. It has to be
Right.
more easy on them. If it is scripted, that turns them off. So marketers and content creators of various brands may not be great at that, at creating the invisible script or the spoken script that a podcast requires. So that's one pain point. The other pain point, they may or may not have an in-house team which can work on packaging, distributing, and then marketing the way a podcast is marketed. So those are few things that, as producers of content for various brands, that is one pain point that we look at and that others can look at too. Okay, that is one way to monetize on how you work with brands. Now, how you monetize a podcast that you create as a creator is going to be different. Now, that is as a producer that I said that we do. We also, of course, associate with brands, create a lot of branded content or bring in ads or do so many other things. But as a producer of the content, rather the creator of the content, what is it that you can do? You can run a crowdfunding campaign on Patreon, or you can actually have people donate to you. If your content means or creates that kind of value, they'll be happy to put in money. Patreon has been very well running for and doing very well for so many other podcasters, but there has to be a certain consistency. You have to have delivered some value for listeners to really be wanting to listen to more of you, and thus wanting to donate the money that they can to ensure that you continue sustaining and running this podcast.
Right.
That is a factor of consistency and having been doing that for a long time. For any brand to associate with you, it has to have, you have to have that kind of credibility that they see that yes, associating with you or you working or creating a content for them means something. If you're really good at scripting and putting something together for a brand and you're happy to voice it out, the voiceover artist industry has been booming. If you're great at voiceover, you can associate with a brand, voice over their content on a podcast for them. If you're great at scripting and voiceover both, you put the whole thing together, you create a concept, do it for them, they're happy to do it. As somebody who's podcasting in your own niche now, how do you really monetize that? Of course, ads, running ads. But when do brands run ads on your podcast? When you have enough listeners.
Business.
When do you have enough listeners? When you're consistent.
Yeah.
So all of it boils down, all the monetization that can happen only on couple of factors: consistency, your authenticity,
Right.
um, the value or the purpose that you actually are working with, the engagement that you are creating, the number of listeners that you're bringing. So, CAPE is what I call it. That's consistency, authenticity, purpose, and engagement.
Nice.
So, if these four
Nice.
factors are there, I don't see that why you cannot monetize. You can monetize by getting a brand on board, creating content for them, or if you see there's a synergy with with a brand, if you're doing something which is impact related, working with impact related brands, creating something for them. If you're all about education, you're really passionate about education, you can tie up with an ed tech brand, or bringing sponsored ads. So ads will run. There are two types of ads. One is native advertisement, the other is dynamic. Dynamic plays by itself. There's a
Okay.
plugin, platforms, various hosting platforms provide that. Dynamic ads run by themselves. You can put it in the beginning, or or in between, or at the
Okay.
end, or else that's dynamic. And the native advertisement is when you as a creator or you as a podcaster are actually saying something about that brand or endorsing that brand in a very authentic way. So you merge it with your script, you merge it with your content,
Right.
and that I feel has much more power over a dynamic advertisement.
Yeah.
So that is one way. Then you can run a crowdfunding campaign, or there are various ways, but the key factor is the cape.
Just, yeah, creating good content ultimately.
Yeah,
That should
yeah,
be the monetization will follow.
yeah.
Like any other content, you just have to create
Absolutely, absolutely.
good content. Also, you also need to market your podcast, right? I mean, it's not like I've put it up now and then people will come and people will listen to it.
Yeah,
I'm assuming there's a lot of marketing also, whether it's links on social media channels or talking about it. So, like any other piece of content, if it just sits on your own platform, it's not going to ask you to go out and look for relevant listeners. At least you have to put it out in front of people, and then people will actually then, so it'll actually grow. Yeah. Uh,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Sonia. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. Uh, I can't believe that we met on LinkedIn randomly, and then I found out what is it that you do. And because podcasts suddenly have become so, I'm really enjoying the experience, and I think you pointed it out very well. It's about, it doesn't take me away from other things, that I'm doing. So, jogging, running, walking, cooking. So I can actually devote all attention to a podcast. A video would not allow me. That I also have to watch the video, right? Also, somewhere, when I listen to some of the podcasts which are really cool, a couple of interviews that I really like, um, I think they're done so well, which is the X factor I was talking about. They're done
Yeah,
so well that, it's really such a lovely experience, whether it's the content itself or the way, the person will be speaking. I think some
yeah.
podcasts are really, really done well. Of course, it takes time to, get till there. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah. Thank you so much for spending time with me talking about podcasts. I learned a lot, and it's still a new industry. It's still a nascent industry, I think, in India, but it's really, really, really growing. Yeah. So thank you so much, Sonia.
Yes.
Thank you so much for spending time with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Same, likewise for me. I loved having this conversation, Deepika. Thank you for getting me on She Means Business. I love all that you're doing, and I continue to follow that. And I also
Okay.
tell a lot of other people because you really do add a lot of value with your content. And I hope
Thank you
you
so
look
much.
forward to this one too, coming out soon.
Thank you.
And yes, much more power and love to you and to everybody who views and follows you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you.